Hey everyone! So recently, if you've been watching my channel, you know that I wanted to do my next video on cognitive distortions. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of a background on why I came to that conclusion, why I wanted to do a video on this. So recently I've been talking with a friend who also has bipolar I and just asked him to give me some basic, ideas if he had any on future video topics and things like that. And he suggested that I do a video on cognitive distortions. So I knew a little bit about it, but I've done some research to back myself up a bit. And I think this will help a lot of people suffering with bipolar take the first steps to getting back in control of your own thinking. So first of all, you're probably thinking, what is a cognitive distortion? Cognitive distortions are common ways that our mind pretty much convinces us of something that is not really true. These incorrect thoughts are usually used to fortify our negative thinking or emotions, telling ourselves things that sound rational and accurate, but only really serve to keep us in the cycle of feeling bad about ourselves. Cognitive distortions are at the center of what many cognitive behavioralists and other kinds of therapists use to attempt to help a person learn to change their way of thinking. By learning to correctly identify this kind of twisted thinking, a person then can answer the negative thinking back and oppose it. By opposing the negative thinking over and over again, it can slowly diminish over time and be eventually replaced by more rational, balanced thinking. So just like with anxiety almost, if you can isolate out how you're thinking and and you can put it in a box and put a little label on it, and hey, this is bad negative thinking, then you can isolate it when you're thinking about it and be like, hey, red flag, don't think about this, or I need to change my way of thinking. And if you continue to do that over and over again, it'll slowly change your way of thinking to the point where you won't even have these thoughts anymore. So your brain is an amazing and powerful thing. The more you learn, the more you can harness that power and use it for yourself. No one is in control of your thinking but you. Only you can alter your thought patterns and force your brain to create new connections in your neural forest. But that's a topic for another video, so let's get back on point. There are 15 common cognitive distortions, and I'm going to try and break down each one to help provide a better understanding. So the first one, number one, is called filtering. So in this type of thinking, you will focus on a single negative thought and block out any positive thoughts. You take the negative details in a situation and just magnify them while blocking out any positives to the situation. You pick out a single negative detail and dwell on it to the point where your vision of reality becomes dark and distorted. Number two, polarized thinking, or it also can be called black and white thinking. In this type of thinking, things will literally be black or white to you. You feel like you have to be perfect at everything you do, or you're a complete and utter failure. There's no middle ground in between. There's no gray area. It's either perfection or complete failure. And therein comes the black and white, leaving no gray area in between. Number three is called overgeneralization. So basically you come to a general conclusion based on like a single event or a single piece of evidence in your mind. If something bad happens once, say, it's going to happen over and over again. You may see a single unpleasant event as part of a never-ending pattern of defeat. If something bad happened once, you expect it to happen over and over and over again. Number four is jumping to conclusions. So basically, without someone saying anything, we feel like we know what they're feeling or thinking about us. We also may feel like we already know for a fact how a situation or a certain event is going to turn out before it even happens. You may even think someone is acting like negatively towards you, like giving you stares or something like that, or talking about you under their breath, but you don't actually bother to find out if you're right. Number 5 is called catastrophizing, or magnifying or minimizing. So we basically expect the disaster to strike, no matter what. We hear about, say, a problem on TV and use what-if questions, like, what if that happened to me, or what if that happened to my family, or what if that happened to someone close to me, or, with magnifying, for example, a person might exaggerate the importance of insignificant events, such as like their own mistake that's small and doesn't really mean anything, but to them in their own mind it's huge. Or you could also like overplay like someone else's achievement, like say you're really into sports or something like that, and your favorite UFC fighter just like won their fight, and you're like totally over the moon about it, and it's almost like you're celebrating it like it's your achievement. Or with minimizing, it's the complete opposite, which is when you like inappropriately shrink the magnitude of significant events until they appear tiny or completely insignificant. For example, a person's own desirable qualities or someone else's imperfections. Number, what are we at? 6? Yep, 6. Is called personalization. So you believe that everything others say or do is some kind of direct personal attack on you. You may also compare yourselves to others, trying to determine who's smarter, who has better looks, or maybe who is better at sports. A person engaging in personalization may also see themselves as the sole cause of some unhealthy external event that they clearly were not responsible for. So maybe, like a death in your family, or someone in your family getting sick or something like that, something that is completely not anyone's fault, but they feel like they're responsible for it. Then we have number 7, which is control fallacies. So the fallacy of internal control has us assuming responsibility for the pain and happiness of everyone around us. For example, we may ask people like questions like, why aren't you happy? Is it because of something I did or said? And we can also see ourselves as the helpless victims of fate. Number 8, the fallacy of fairness. We feel resentful because we think we know what is fair, but other people won't agree with us. People who go through life weighing the scales in every situation, judging its fairness, will often feel badly and negatively because of it. You can believe that because life isn't fair, things will not work out in your favor, especially when you think they should. Got number 9, which is blaming. We hold other people responsible for our pain, or take the complete opposite track and blame ourselves for every single little problem. For example, saying things like, stop making me feel bad about myself, or stop making me feel worse. Nobody can make us feel any particular way. Sure, people can say or do hurtful things, but only we have control over our emotional reactions. Number 10, shoulds. We have a list of inflexible rules about how others and we should always behave. Anyone who breaks these unspoken rules makes us completely angry. If we break our own rules, we feel guilty and ashamed. A person may often believe they are trying to motivate themselves with shoulds and shouldn'ts, as if they have to be punished before they can do anything. For example, I really should eat more, I shouldn't be so lazy about cooking. Must-haves and concerns are also like personal insults in a way. The emotional consequence is therefore guilt. Even when a person directs should statements towards others, for example, like you should clean your room or you should look for a job, the consequence is often anger, frustration, or resentment. So number 11, emotional reasoning. We believe that what we feel must be true automatically. If we feel stupid and ugly, then we must be stupid and ugly. You assume that your unhealthy emotions reflect the way things really are. I feel it, therefore it must be true. Number 12, the fallacy of change. We expect that other people will change to suit us if we just pressure or influence them enough. We feel the need to change people because our hopes for happiness seem to depend on them entirely. Number 13, global labeling. We generalize one or two qualities into a negative global judgment. These are extreme forms of overgeneralizing and are often referred to as labeling and mislabeling. Instead of describing an error in conflict of a specific situation, a person will attach an unhealthy label to themselves. For example, they may say, "I'm a loser," in a situation where they feel they have failed at a specific task. And when someone else's behavior rubs us the wrong way, we may attach an unhealthy label to him, such as, "He's an asshole." Mislabeling involves describing an event with language that is usually highly colored and emotionally loaded. For example, instead of saying someone drops her children off at daycare every day, a person who is mislabeling might say that she abandons her children to strangers. Number 14, always being right. We feel like we are constantly on trial to prove that our opinions and actions are correct. Being wrong is absurd, and we will go to any length to demonstrate our beliefs. For example, why can't you ever admit when you're wrong, or why is it always my fault? Being right often is more important than the feelings of everyone around us, including our loved ones. And number 15 is heaven's reward fallacy. We basically expect our sacrifice and self-denial to pay off, as if someone is keeping score. We feel bitter and angry when the reward doesn't come. We often think that all the pain we go through is worse than others. So those are just the basic cognitive distortions. And I've gone through phases of most of them in my life, and I think in the future I might do a video like making it more like personalized on like giving examples of each one about my life and when I thought like that. But I thought this was definitely a good start, and it gives you a clear understanding of when you're thinking negatively versus when you're thinking positively. So if you can isolate those out in your mind and just know when sorry, my daughter's just waking up from her nap. My husband is taking care of it. So if you can isolate out those thoughts and know when they're happening and label them as negative thoughts, then you can kind of like take control, take reins over your thinking, and just start to work your way out of the hole, if you know what I mean. So until next time, everyone, remember to stay strong, and remember, you're never alone.